Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And as some of you may know, over the past week or so, it has been my great pleasure and honor to have been able to engage with certain films and certain filmmakers that are connected or related to the cinema of Mexico, the great cinema of Mexico. Now, I don't consider myself at all to be an expert. I wish I knew more about Mexican cinema than I do now, and I admit my knowledge right now is very poor and very slight and very small. But I'm always seeking to improve myself to the best of my ability. And it is always wonderful to find and discover new films. One of the avenues that helps me to learn a little bit about some of the cinema that I don't know, including some of the cinema of Mexico, is of course the Criterion Collection. And the Criterion Collection does have its share of films from the cinema of Mexico. One of those films is one that I had the opportunity to speak about a little bit in the past week. And also I've spoken about this film in the past on this YouTube channel before. But just in case you haven't seen it, I just wanted to mention it here again as a film that this isn't for everyone. This is a very intense, very deeply disturbing work that turns into something quite, to be perfectly frank, very horrific and unforgettable in terms of its horrifying, disturbing nature. But it's a film that has such power and resonance that when you watch it, you can never unwatch it. Once you see it, you realize you're watching something that is so utterly brilliant, and that seems to top a kind of sense of what cinema can do, not just in terms of the contents and the impact, but also in terms of the art form itself. This is Felipe Cazals' brilliant work called CANOA, A Shameful Memory. Now, and it's called CANOA, Memoria de un hecho vergonzoso. And I apologize for my poor pronunciation, but I really wanted to say that. CANOA, Memoria de un hecho vergonzoso. Felipe Cazals' work from 1976. This is a Criterion Blu-ray spine number 862. It is still available. It's still in print. If you haven't seen this film yet, my friends, I can strongly recommend it. Of course, however, this is not for everyone. There are scenes of violence. There are some very intense scenes. So this is not for everyone. If you don't like to watch these sorts of intense films, then perhaps this is not your cup of tea. However, if that kind of content is okay, and you are okay with watching a film that is also very witty, it is very clever in terms of how it presents characters, how it plays with the form of cinema itself. If you're okay with this kind of brilliant example of cinema, both in and out, then I strongly recommend watching this film, CANOA, A Shameful Memory. This is a film that is speaking to a particular moment, San Miguel CANOA, and this incident that happened in the late 1960s, and the many themes and ideas and concepts seem to be converging at this very moment in time in history that this film is encapsulating with such brilliant poetic effect. We have this idea of a divide between city and countryside, and that seems also to be blended into a conversation and discussion about class and education. And this is, of course, interwoven into discussion about the society and the history of recent history of Mexico. And that's not all, of course. We have the impact of politics on the populace, not just politics though, but we have the impact of religion on politics. I'm sorry, on the people, and how this idea of religion and politics, how they can coincide or how they can backfire against each other. And all this tension seems to be built up in a way that just explodes. And the way that this film captures this explosion is just unbelievable. It's unbelievable for a number of ways, but primary to that, in my view, is the way it presents it. Now, it presents it in a way that is almost like a pseudo or quasi-documentary. It feels like a documentary, but it is one of these things where you realize you're watching fiction or non-fictionalized fiction. And the playfulness between those two tones is one of the things that makes this film so utterly beautiful. And the way in which characters interact with each other, interact with the screen, interact with us, makes this feeling of interconnection between viewer and the cinematic subject matter all the more powerful and close, and thus more terrifying when we realize what the progress of the narrative is. And speaking of the progress of the narrative, I don't want to give away too many details, but I've mentioned, of course, that this feels like it's a film that has many tones, and it captures all of these tones so beautifully. It's a film about class, it's a film about city and countryside, education, religion, capturing a particular moment in contemporary Mexican history, and politics. It's all this. It's a human drama. It's all this. It's sort of a kind of a quasi or documentary-like film. It's all this stuff. And it is also a terrifying suspense film and a horror film. This is like one of those horrifying films. In many ways, the way in which its effect resonates so deeply, it cuts so deeply. This makes the horrifying effect all the more horrifying. It echoes and lingers. Thus, this becomes also all those things, and it becomes a horror film at the same time. And when you watch this film, and then you realize just the sheer, utter power of the image that is unfolding before your very eyes as you're watching it, words don't do justice to the kind of impact that it has. When I see it and I watch it, every time I'm realizing I'm watching something that is utterly terrifying and something that is capturing a moment that, on the one hand, I feel like I am an outsider because I'm not from this particular part of the world. I've never lived in this particular part of the world. And so, on the one hand, I can't quite claim to know exactly what the sense is. But at the same time, there's something of a universal connectivity with this film that makes the events and the feelings and the tones and the atmospheres of the scenes as they unfurl and unwind and uncurl themselves to sort of their inexorable conclusion. It makes this so chilling and so effective on me and on many people, such that it has a universal effect to chill and to really leave a long-lasting impact. This is a great example of the power of cinema, right here. This is one of the great examples of the power of cinema. This is why I love cinema. Is films like this, films like CANOA, A Shameful Memory, takes me on all these different places, brings me here, brings me there, brings me here as well, and then brings me also to a particular place that is both illuminating, eye-opening, and chilling, and quite simply, truly horrifying. And this is the impact of cinema that I'm always looking for. What a film this is. What a film. This is CANOA, A Shameful Memory from 1976. The filmmaker is Felipe Cazals, and this is spine number 862 in the current Criterion Collection physical media catalog. Once again, it is very intense. very intense in places. So if you are not so comfortable with watching films like that, then just be warned about that. But if you are okay with watching intense works of art, and if you're okay with being stimulated with very, very memorable and oftentimes shocking images that have a meaning and impact, and that really are significant, then this film, CANOA, A Shameful Memory, is for you. I strongly recommend it for those of you for whom this kind of film is okay. So once again, my friends, this is CANOA, A Shameful Memory in the Criterion Collection. What a fine example of the films of Felipe Cazals. And if you're watching it for the first time, please let me know what you think. Or if you've seen it already, my friends, please let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts on this utterly captivating work of art. Powerful, powerful, powerful work. CANOA, A Shameful Memory. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now. And so until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great, great movies. Thank you so much again for your time, my dear friends, and cheers.